Good Sunday evening, and welcome back to another episode of the Scuttlebutt. I'm here with my co-host Andrew and a good friend of the Scuttlebutt, Travis. How you guys doing?
Hoorah!
I'm savage, sir.
Yes,
Savage.
Are you Semper Savage, Travis?
super
Are you
savage.
Semper
Always.
Savage?
I'm always savage. Always.
So before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our Patreon members. If you're interested in supporting the show, go ahead. There's links in the description. There's links all over our Facebook. You can find it. Um, September is a suicide awareness month, so I'm just going to throw this little slide up there for a while we talk. Uh, I started a walk. I was able to through my Facebook friends. I gathered up $500, so I'm walking 30 miles this month, September. It's been kind of slow because I was diagnosed with COVID a couple of days ago, and literally all I've been doing is sleeping all weekend.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, it's been a rough few days, but I'm on the down slope. I'm no longer sick. I'm just super tired, and I literally probably taken 4 naps today.
Dude, you gotta make up that walking, man. Hey, you got
I'm ahead.
this.
I'm actually ahead of schedule.
You got this, Flake. You got it.
I'm ahead of schedule. So our guest today, Travis, man, this man wears many hats. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He's a fellow podcaster. He's
I'm an author.
he's a marksman.
He's an entrepreneur. He's got a radio sexy voice that everybody wants.
I was trying to think of the fancy word. What's the fancy word for somebody who shoots a bow and arrow?
Oh, he's an archer. He's an archer.
He's an archer. He's a deadlifter. Man, this guy does a little bit of everything. How you doing, Travis?
How you doing, Travis?
Well, like I said, I'm savage, and I'm happy to be here on a Sunday night with you all. And
Yeah.
you were on my show, and it's just very great
Sir.
to be here right now.
Yes.
And we're all in the running for winning that golden hammer from Broken Jarhead.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's a good time. There's still time to vote on your favorite Veterans podcast, and maybe Commander Flake or Andrew will throw the link into the description there.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to support.
Didn't you win last year?
I won the best news category last year.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So an inaugural thing, it was very cool, and glad to see you all in there. And a lot of talented veterans podcast, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of entries this year, and it's just I highly doubt we'll win. We're brand new. We've only been doing this for a year, but it's pretty exciting to be in with the group. Gives us a little exposure. So,
well, that's the thing, right? It's little things like this that over time, it's like, oh wow, okay, these guys are here and they're still there. People that were in the awards last year weren't this year, and some were, and so it's always good seeing new faces and faces that come back.
And we've evolved. I mean, last year we had no idea what the hell we were doing.
Had no idea.
And with your tutelage and some of your advice, we take it on the road. We do this. Now we do StreamYard. Now I don't have to go to Fleek's house and do it together. I mean,
it's a YouTube channel now. Before it was just audio, straight podcast. Now branched out.
Well,
we've branched out.
You're always adapting and overcoming, and there's always challenges.
Improvising. That's right. Hoorah, Marine.
And it's a big sandbox. It's a big sandbox. It's like being in the desert in Yuma or
Paris. Paris Island, not 29 Palms. Paris Island.
God, we're gonna go there.
Didn't you go there?
No, I didn't. I went to
that's
NCRD.
Right. You're a Hollywood Marine.
Yeah.
Damn it. You and Travis McVeigh have a lot in common because he was a Hollywood Marine too.
It was a mental thing when the DI said, "Hey, I'll give you a head start. The airport's right over there. I'll give you a head start. Just keep running. You want to run, don't you?"
He told you that?
Yeah, he did.
That's fucking funny.
They're out there smoking us. He's like, "Look, the airport's right over there. I bet you could." It's right there. And then the second phase was like, "Hey, that we're going up that hill. We are, really? Okay."
Dude, we had a kid. He jumped the fence. He tried to go through the swamp at Paris Island. Yeah, they got him in like 6 hours.
Yeah, dumbass.
They're pretty good about that now.
They're really good. They don't want you to leave. They're like, nope, you're not going anywhere, dude.
I'm surprised the Gators didn't get him.
I know, right?
Or the I don't even know what's in those waters, man. It's some crazy shit.
My drill instructor told us once he was screaming like he didn't tell us, he's screaming like spit's flying in your face.
Yep.
He's telling, I hate civilians. My mother's a civilian and I hate her. And I'm just sitting there. I was a big mama's boy, right? I'm just like, holy shit, man, what the fuck did I get myself into? I'm gonna hate my mom by the time this is over with.
Dude, Fleet, you've never told that story before. That is hilarious.
Yeah, I hate civilians. My mother's a civilian and I hate her too. And I was just like, holy fuck.
Well, I've always wondered why the Navy has their boot camp on a freshwater Great Lake when the ocean is right there. But they always have. And I hear that in the wintertime, Great Lakes Recruiting Command sucks.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. My first day was January 28th, 1985. It was terrible. I was used to I'm from Detroit, and the Great Lakes is about an hour north of Chicago, so I was already used to the winter. But man, when you spend 24/7 outdoors, man, it's brutal.
Speaking of Detroit, your Lions got a win today.
Oh, yes, they did.
It's the first time that they were favored to win in 24 games. Man, that's like 2 years.
Well, I gotta respect it. Like, you're a real fan. Like you.
No, he's diehard, man. He is
Lions guy right here. I got my whole room is Honolulu blue and silver. My walls. See my walls? That's blue and silver.
Dude, he's got a big old like white lion on one side.
There's giant decals, lions, like big fat heads.
Sorry, go Patriots, man. Forever. Go Patriots.
Screw them.
What? Come on, you're from Massachusetts.
No,
you gotta love the Pats.
I live in Massachusetts. I'm not from there. And I'll tell you a real story. I get out of the Marine Corps and I come to New England, my first time being here. And the Pats were playing in a nasty, high school stadiums in Texas are nicer than the old Foxborough Stadium.
Damn, that's rough, dude.
People were giving me Pats tickets. So like, hey, I'm not going to the games this weekend. I don't want to watch those bums play. Here you go.
Hey, who was quarterback back then? Drew Bledsoe?
Drew Bledsoe, yeah. Drew Bledsoe.
Dude, he was, come on. You can't go wrong with Drew. He was great. I mean, he's not Tom Brady, but he was good.
I thought Drew got a bad deal because he didn't give me anybody, all he had was Terry Glenn, really, and Ben Coates.
Damn, look at you.
But still, I mean, I'm like, okay, I mean, you're giving me your Pats tickets. Now, the Red Sox tickets, they'd fight you. They would fight to, 6 years later, I said, hey, the Saints are coming into town. My kid and I have never been to a football game together. What do you say? And these were like nosebleed seats. He's like, that's $300 a piece. I'm like, what? I said, that's $99 face value. He's like, hey, man, I got to charge a premium because my Pats are so good. I said, you gave them to me 6 years ago. like I was doing you a favor taking them. It's like times change.
Yeah.
But there's people that didn't give two shites about the Pats when they sucked. And all of a sudden, so to me, Lions fans, if you say you're a Jaguars fan, like a dyed bull,
definitely not.
Yeah,
you're right. If you're one of those kind of fans, Arizona Coyotes fans,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you gotta want it to go to the game. So much respect.
Wait, what's his name? Who? Brett Hall. Doesn't he own the Coyotes, or is it Wayne Gretzky? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I don't even know.
I remember when hockey. I was stationed in Yuma. I remember hockey coming to Phoenix, and people were like, "What's this?" And then,
it's like that in Florida, like the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Florida Panthers. I mean, they're like hockey in Florida. What?
So I joined the Marine Corps out of Louisiana. I was, not struggling so much as kind of like trying to find some direction. And I had an opportunity to go to community college on a singing scholarship, believe it or not.
Singing.
Yep. But I'm
singing?
like,
wait, that's your hat.
Wait, singing?
Singing, yeah.
You sing? I did not know you sung, man.
Well, some things are better left unsaid.
Wow, that is something I've known you for a long time, and I did not know you were a damn singer.
That's why you had me on the show, right? That's why you had me on the show.
Yes, sir.
But I said, college is too tough. College is way too tough. I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna join the Marine Corps and get some direction because college is too tough. Sitting in an air-conditioned classroom in Louisiana in August is too tough. I'll join the United States Marine Corps and improve myself.
Hoorah!
Yeah, hoorah! And so I did that.
What year was that?
It was 95.
Oh,
Okay.
God, I'm such a boot to you.
And so we do that, and I wanted to be air traffic control. I really heard that was a really cool gig. Shreveport Bossier, where I joined of, is the home of Barksdale Air Force Base. A lot of the Air Force guys are like, look, if you can get in air traffic control, you will have a job when you leave the Marine Corps after 4 years, no question. And you'll get to go to all these cool places. And I'm like, you know what? What's that like? Oh, it's like playing Tetris on this big scope. I'm like, well, I'm pretty good at Tetris.
Man,
How
you
bad-
had a good recruiter, dude.
Oh, he was the best. So I signed up for 7,200 aviation support and went into, MCRD and did that thing. It's very different from Paris Island. Got out
Very, very different from Paris Island.
night and day. Went to MCT, which I really liked MCT. I thought that was pretty cool. Playing grunt wasn't that bad after boot camp. Boot camp sucked. The thing with boot camp and me is they figured out real quick that I had a large cranium. Like, this is a size 8 fitted hat.
Oh my, that is huge.
That is big.
So gas mask covers, uniform covers were a challenge.
I bet they hated you for that.
Once the DIs found out they would bring in other drill instructors from other companies. Look at the size of that grape. God damn.
Oh, that's confidence building right there.
Grape ape. I'm like, oh Jesus. And the thing was, I thought when I got to the fleet, it would kind of go away. No, because when you get to the fleet, they find that one thing they can get you for, and I'm a pretty hard target to miss. Let's put it like that. So I got an MCT, and they're saying, everybody's like 0311 infantry. I think the cannon cockers or 08s or something like that.
Yeah, 0811.
Yeah, 0811s, supply, and Partington 7222 Hawk missile operator. And I knew something was wrong when the CO, Captain Wolf, did not know what Hawk was. And he was an infantry guy. And so the Master Sergeant, Truiz, I'm like, Master Sergeant, what? I'm a little PFC at the time. What is Hawk? He's like, well, the duty station's Fort Bliss. It's a great duty station. They're going to tell you all about Hawk when you get there. I'm like, oh,
thanks,
no.
Master Sergeant.
Oh no! So I get to Fort Bliss, and I check into the little airport. They have the little desk there, and there's this female sergeant first class, which is E7. And I'm like, hey, I'm here to check into the
E8.
Oh no, she was a gunny.
She was a gunny. That's E7. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No problem. So it's staff sergeant first class, and then first sergeant, right, in the Army.
It goes staff sergeant gunny. Oh, in the Army. Oh,
yeah,
sergeant.
She was Army.
Yeah. Okay, she was Army.
Fort Bliss is an Army base, air defense.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and primarily air defense. Patriot, Stinger, Hawk, Lad, the Avenger, all that stuff.
Surrounded by the Army.
Yes, it gets even better. So she's
sorry,
like,
no offense, Army guys.
Like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, I'm here to check into the Marine Corps detachment. She's like, Hawk's going away, right? I'm like, no. So I remember, like rest day, the duty officer and the other duty private was the driver came pick me up, and Lieutenant Co told me she was a WM, second lieutenant. It's like, yes.
I don't think you can say WM anymore.
I'm saying WM. They can get over it.
All right. Just making that clear.
Because, I know things have changed, but I tell WMs this. I said, when I was in boot camp and MCT and Hawk School, WM was drilled in our heads.
What is WM?
Woman Marine.
And then it changed to FM, and now it's just person.
They are Marines. They are Marines. I mean, but I was drilled in my head, sir, to call them women Marines. WM.
Yeah, drill. Hey, FM.
They had no problem with it back then. Let me tell you, they had absolutely zero problem with it back then. So they
now they do. Oh, now they do.
Well, they like all the other pronouns. What's wrong with that one?
It's an adjective, really. It's just an adjective. I mean, it makes them feel special.
I should put combat chaps, he, him, and then it, or id, or something. I don't know, crazy. So she's like, we're being decommissioned, and that's because Patriot, had some runtime in Desert Storm 2, and kind of like the tankers now, the Marine Corps decided we don't want a defensive platform. Done.
in the Marine Corps, which is kind of ironic, 25 years later, that all of a sudden Iron Dome and Gator and all these other air defense systems are being brought back in the Marine Corps, and Hawk is still used internationally. There are countries that still use the platform internationally. But I'm like, well, I'm here, I'm stuck. And then I found out that I was Hawk Class 196. Hawk Class, 4.95, one night got into a huge fight with the Army. Like, huge fight. So the Army barracks emptied out and our barracks emptied out. And it was so bad that the two WMs in the class were throwing hands too.
Whoa. Nice. Nice.
So the rest of the time the Marines were in class, they were on restriction. They had to march to the chow hall, go to the chow hall when the Army wasn't going to be there. And it was a huge mess. So when we got there, we were punished too. Field days every Saturday and Sunday.
Awesome.
Right. March everywhere we go because, and if we weren't marching, the Army guys would call the duty NCO or the officer in charge and say, hey, I rode past you Marines and they weren't marching. And we'd get tattled on by the Army.
Oh, God, that's terrible, man.
When we went to chow, we had to sit together. We couldn't intermingle with the Army guys. They didn't like us, and by the time we were done with Hawk School, we didn't like them. I tell people all the time, Hawk School in some ways sucked a lot worse than boot camp. I mean, But
how long was Hawk School?
4 months. 4 months.
4 months?
Yep.
Damn.
That's just for the operators. The techs, the 5900 class had they were in MOS school for a year.
Oh,
damn.
The cool thing with them is when they got out of school, they all got promoted to corporal. So we had more time in the fleet, but they had more time in service. So we had to actually.
Well, you guys are a little bit more technically savvy than us grunts.
Yeah, but the grunts didn't like us because we weren't hard enough, and the air wing didn't like us because we did. When I got to Yuma, we did things like hums and field ops and stuff like that, and we practiced shooting down their squadrons, so they didn't like us there. I mean, it was just we were the bastard sons of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, nobody liked you. Damn, that sucks, man.
We loved it though. We loved it though. So then, I'm in Fort Bliss, which is not one of the best duty stations in the Army by any stretch of the imagination, because we're right by Juarez, and we were told that, hey, you go to Juarez, you might not come back, and that was back then. And it's really kind of cool. You look out your barracks window, and you could see where the United States ended and where Mexico started because of the lights. The electricity is over there. I forget what they told us, but the lights look different. They're all different because of the amperage or wattage of the electricity.
Does it look like a glow?
No, it's like a little greenish tint, whereas our night lights are kind of like an amber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in Honduras, the amperage like that. I mean, when I was there for a month, the lighting was like weird.
So I get out to Yuma, and I will say to anybody, I actually liked my MOS. When we fired the missile, did live fire exercise in the field, I would have stayed in 20 years. It is cool as all get out. Even today, when you're around the other Marines and they ask you, what did you do in the Marine Corps? I was supply, I was a pogue, I was a mortarman. What did you do?
341.
Well, I was a Hawk operator. We fired missiles as a Hawk operator. Yeah, missiles as long as your car. Wow. I mean, the wow factor is there, man. You take out the pictures of what I did and, the stuff I worked on. And it's like, it was cool. It was different. And all the same stuff, man. You meet people that you're still friendly with. You meet some really solid people. You do some really cool stuff together. I liked being out in the field because you didn't have to deal with some of the stuff of being in garrison.
Agreed.
And you were away from sergeant majors and other first sergeants prying eyes.
I hated garrison. I too agree. I love being in the field.
Right.
I'm not a garrison Marine at all. I mean, you can ask my friends. I was not a garrison Marine.
Well, we knew the field was a cool place to go because the E8 top would come out there with us, Master Sergeant Trujillo, and he knew everything about Hawk. I mean, and he wasn't like a prick. He cared. He was less worried about, if your shade was on point. He was more worried about if the gear was on point. if hey, you're shaved, I'm like, yeah, I'm sergeant, but I was up there PM the launcher because we had to get ready to go. No problem. Lance Corporal, make sure you hit that shave in the Humvee mirror before we go back to, right?
Dude, we had we were deployed in 05, and all first sergeant cared about was like if we had a shaved face. I'm like, we don't have any water, first sergeant. You want us to just dry shave? Yes. Okay, fine. I mean, yeah. First Sergeant Gooseman, thank you, First Sergeant. Thank you, First Sergeant.
And then you learn to love heat. Like it's, I don't know what happened to me, but my AC broke in my apartment system, and it got up to like 80 degrees, and I'm like freaking out. And I thought about it. I used to sleep outside when we go on field ops in 115 and 120 degree heat, no problem. I'm like, people say, well, it was just a dry heat. I tell them, look, 117 degrees is hot. We went out to the field one time in July. It's 121, 126 degrees. The sergeants are making omelets for us on Humvees. We were drinking. I mean, you experienced this, Andrew. You're drinking a gallon of water to stay alive. Like the corpsmen are really like, sir, this is not a good idea to making them work like this. Well, if we were in combat, we'd be working like this, so they're going to push through. Oh, yeah, we pushed through, all right.
Did you drink hot water?
Oh, those water buffaloes were all refrigerated, Andrew. Come on.
Oh, no. Hey, we had pallets and pallets in the sun of the 2 liters. No. I mean, I would drink at least 7 or 8 of those a day when I was over in Iraq.
Depending on what it was, they would either go. So our field ops were like 20 miles away from Yuma, out in the middle of the training Yuma, right near the Yuma Proving Ground. So they would do one of 2 things. They would take we called them water buffaloes.
Yeah, I've drank from one of those before.
So we call the water buffaloes from main side out to the field. Yep. Or there's these canals in Arizona because they use the canals to feed water to the orange groves and other things. They take the water reclamation MOSs, and they would plop a tube in the middle of these canals, and they'd make clean water. And I got a picture, I can show it to you guys later, where I'm fishing in one of the canals because they'd stock it with catfish to kind of clean it up. So you could fish out of there, but that's where our water came from. So I'd empty the pissers and shitters, hook up the water buffalo, go get water, and they'd fill us up and bring it back there. And the corpsman would come and test it. But, we'd drink a canteen of water every 15 minutes to stay alive. It was great.
No toxic water for you, like at Camp Lejeune back then, because I think toxic exposure and water contamination was about that time in 95, 96.
Yeah. All kinds of stuff. Like, they tested the anthrax virus on us. They don't,
Oh, how'd that go?
I'm still here, but it was kind of freaky when you read about other people dying of it. I mean, it's crazy, right?
I got 3 of those. I didn't get the full 6. So.
But I will say this, man. I did get kind of demotivated when I started realizing, we're getting shut down. Like, we're starting to operational tempos slow down, and the real like kicker was you looked at because this is before internet, ladies and gentlemen. The Marine Corps newspaper would come out with all the cutting scores. The cutting score is your promotion score for corporal, sergeant, and then staff and E6 and above are appointments, right?
Yeah.
So, you look and see what your score is, and depending upon the Marine Corps needs, some kind of scores are real low, some of them are real high. And generally the air wing MOSs were fairly low because they wanted to retain them. Fine. The cutting score for Corporal, Andrew, was 400 points higher than it was for Sergeant. You weren't getting promoted. The only way you could get promoted is if you re-upped, or you were willing to, if you re-upped or could go to work on Yuma's chow hall.
Yeah.
They had a couple slots for Corporal, and you could slide in there. And, the thing was, though, they were really pushing you to re-up if you got into the Cook MOS. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And I've never gotten an answer. As much as I like the MOS, and I think I got along fairly good with my NCOs and officers and all that stuff, I never could figure out why the Marine Corps knew this job was going away. They knew it. And they still put us there. I've never gotten an answer. except, well, Marine, the boat space was empty and we had to fill it. And I'm like, civilians don't work that way. Like
No.
if you're shutting down a company and, unless you absolutely need a person to do the work, we're not onboarding new staff just to fill a space. We're shutting it down. So, I got my patella tendon got messed up on a run, and rather than try to fight through and stay in, I'm like, it's time to leave. I had a choice of either going to be a cannon cocker, nothing against my artillery brothers, or I could leave. I'm like, you know what? If they screwed it up this bad the first time, I'm not gonna give them a chance to do it again. I'm not running the way I am, and you know this, Andrew. If you can't run the Corps, you're done.
Yeah, that's true.
You can shoot. You can be an MCI, guru. You can do the sit-ups and pull-ups.
MCI guru.
Right? Right. You can read the commandant's list. You can do 20 pull-ups and the 60 sit-ups in 2 minutes. But if you can't run, you're done.
That's
and
true.
The writing was on the wall that I'd be done.
And
I'm
the
like,
MCIs are all digital now, so you can't cheat like I used
Damn.
to do. I know, right? I had all the answers in a book, and I would get my buddies, and I hope they hear this, because a lot of them, that's why they owe me favors, because I got them promoted. You're welcome for my service.
Absolutely.
But yeah, now it's all digital, man. Like you can't cheat. Damn it.
So I get out, and I'm just got married, and that's a different story for a different time. But I had to move to New England, and so I rode my motorcycle from Yuma, Arizona to the Boston area and settled down. And
It's a Boston.
yeah, got a real rude awakening there. And looking back, I had similar challenges as other guys where you don't know anybody, you don't have a job set. Some of our friends did, right? Some of them had their job set. They had the family infrastructure and the relationship. I know this guy. We can at least get you on the board with the job and then figure the stuff out. Or, we know the community college. I had none of that, right?
You were doing it cold.
Yeah. And I told somebody else, I think looking back, missing my family and not knowing anybody and having to adjust to things like the Patriots we were joking before and other things, in a whole different area, probably affected me a lot more than I was willing to let on. And, it was very different back then. You got out and the Corps was done with you. You could go to your local veteran service officer. They might tell you to go to the VFW, American Legion, and that's pretty much it. If he was a good VSO, he'd have some, inside information on some jobs, possibly some training. I was fortunate in that regard. My VSO was Paul Colantonio. He was a sergeant major in the Army and really kind of saved me, man. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put you in this computer program. And I'm like, why do I need to do that, Sergeant Major? I worked on a multi-million-dollar, radar and missile system. The laptop we used to program the launchers cost more than more people's cars. He's like, you don't have the piece of paper that the civilians will accept that you did that. So we got to get you that piece of paper. And that's when I found out that, wow, okay, you can do all this amazing stuff, but unless it translates to civilian life, at best you're an irritation. At worst, it's like, well, you know what? I don't know. That resume is going to the bottom of the pile and, next. And so it had a real effect on me. And later in life, I'm like, I'm going to make sure that, somebody else coming out of the military gets a fair shake. So during that time, I worked, I got the piece of paper. I started doing, computer work, and I work at this financial services firm now. I started off, a help desk guy, rebuilding PCs and stuff I'd done before the Marine Corps. During the Marine Corps, I'm just doing it now. And then in 2006, 2005, I got the chance to go in something called information security. And I jumped on the opportunity. It seemed like a really cool thing to do. And, a lot of it translated for us military guys, right? We understand defense in depth and building a good perimeter and being able to, understand what risk is and mitigate that risk. And we're pretty good at that. And I've really liked it. It's been a very good, beneficial thing for me. And, about that time, my company really started changing the way they did things with regard to military veterans. And now I'm pleased to say they have a very robust program. So if you are a veteran wanting to work in financial services, there's an opportunity for you to do that. You're going to get mentored about how to be, less military when it's applicable and more civilian, but also retain those wonderful qualities we have as civilians. So I'm doing all this, and about 10 years ago, my marriage goes absolutely south. Let's just leave it at that.
Sorry, man.
Well, it sucked at the time. Now I'm pretty good. I just don't believe in love. I think,
You've told me and Katrina that before. I remember
I can prove it
in Boston.
I can prove it. Love's not real. Love is not real.
It's a chemical thing. All right.
It's all endorphins and hormones, man. You can get over that.
You sound like the Bones lady. Like I'm watching Bones. I'm streaming it right now, and she says exactly the same thing that you just said.
Because it's true. But anyway,
I
don't want. Michelle Baxter says she's going to find me a wife. She's still looking. Keep looking, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Wherever you
Happy
are.
birthday. So we're doing this, right? And around that time, man, I was feeling really down. Like the whole divorce process was really impacting me on a lot of levels. Suffice to say. And I had volunteered a little bit at the Veterans Center in downtown Boston, teaching computer classes, and that was kind of cool. But I'm sitting there. It's 2013. I'm like, and my lawyer calls me. I'm like, Jesus, what is it now? And she's like, what are you going to do for Thanksgiving? I said, well, you know what? I'm going to get some Chinese. The new Skyrim is. I need to get my character built up in Skyrim.
Skyrim. Oh my God, I haven't heard of that in a long time.
It's still being played, man.
Is it?
They still got mods for it.
Oh my Lord!
But that was the game at the time. So I said, I'm gonna eat some Chinese, smoke a cigar, and play some Skyrim. Maybe watch some football, and just try to be in my apartment and be by myself. And I don't want to be around anybody. Now my lawyer's about a third of my size. I'm not a small guy by any stretch of the imagination. And she starts tearing my ass up. And I've written this down. She's like, look, I want you, you've got a week and a half out till Thanksgiving. I want you to go to the Brockton VA and sign up to volunteer for Thanksgiving. And I want you to, write down what that experience was like and all that. I do not want to call you back after Thanksgiving. Like, you're not going to call me back. She's like, I most certainly am going to call you back. And I don't want to hear about how you stayed inside your apartment all day, eating lo mein, feeling sorry for yourself. I'm like, oh, fuck. Here we go. So I go down to the Brockton VA and I sign up and holy moly, all it took was me bringing some Dunkin' Donuts to some guys' rooms and pushing them in wheelchairs to be like, wow, this is the lesson right here, man. I mean, my worst day, and I was having some bad days during that time. Mm-hmm. Is not nearly as bad as these guys. This is the best. There's no friends, no family, no one caring about these guys. These rooms are devoid of color and life. And the best they can hope for is on Christmas and Thanksgiving that some puke like me is going to come in there, talk with them for 20, 30 minutes, serve them coffee, and move on. And that kind of started changing me, man. That was right around the time when we had to face the fact, and you all have dealt with this, that, our brother and sister veterans were killing themselves. And, I was hearing about it through, word of mouth that something was going on. But around that time too, I had joined the Marine Corps League in my area, I'm a life member.
Hoorah.
And we'd go to these funerals. I don't know how your Marine Corps League works, Andrew, but we go to these funerals and we do the Marine Corps ritual. We send that person on to the Supreme Commandant, and a lot of them at that time were suicides. And all of a sudden, and we do the ritual, we salute and shake hands and hug the family. And a mom looked at me and was like, why him? And I think she was asking, why him and not you? And then I'm driving home. I'm like, why him and not me? Because I'm in the valley, man. I'm staring at the abyss, and life is not like, I am not having a good time, but I'm clinging on to hope. I think it's my children. And I think the fact that, you know what, I'm like, you know, I'm not going to let this thing beat me. I just don't know how to win. And I thought about it and I'm like, you know, I don't know much, but I'm like, you know, I haven't lost hope. And in the one situation that really affected me, it was the person had lost all hope. I mean, he just couldn't get a job. His wife couldn't deal with his PTSD anymore, took off, took the kids away, wouldn't let him see the kids. You know, he couldn't handle, you know, managing a house himself, didn't reach out to parents. Friends didn't check on him and just said, you know what, I'm gonna start my shotgun and be done with this. And it had an impression on me, and I'm like, you know, what can I do? I don't know why. But I'm like, I got to freaking do something. And I'm like, you know, as bad as life is for me, I'm still hanging in there, man. I'm still believing that, you know, this is going to get better eventually. And this is where Oscar Mike Radio got started. You know, I didn't want to do a blog because I'm like, well, you know, even though I get tired of reading blogs after a while. At the time, I'm like, I got a face for radio. I mean, no one's going to want to see this mug talking to them. And that changed over time. We'll get into that. And then...
Well, that's why we gave Andrew a crappy camera so we can't see his mug.
Dude, I'm breaking out all over my forehead. Like this camera kind of blurs my meat face right here.
Well, I'm telling you, right? I'm telling you. So I'm like, you know, I've always liked radio. I mean, you know, growing up, I mean, I'd hear the talk radio on the my dad drove an International Scout and he'd play, you know, Garrison Keillor and a couple of talk.
Garrison, Lake Wobegon. Oh my God.
Yeah, Lake Wobegon, all that stuff, you know.
Dude, I used to listen to that as a kid, man. Damn,
right?
Man.
Right?
Yeah, my dad loved that stuff too. Damn.
Garrison Keillor with a Prairie Home Companion.
Prairie Home Companion.
Right?
Every Sunday.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a variety show on radio, sir. So they get together with different folk acts and not country acts, but these are people that, you know, play the banjo and you know, the dulcimer, so on and so forth. And
jeez.
Right.
No, so, yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right.
It's based out of Minnesota, and so, you know, it's a Midwestern thing at the time. And so my first job was at 98 Rocks in Shreveport, Louisiana. I would call up people and ask them about, you know, hey, when you listen to the radio, do you think about rock and roll? And Shreveport, Louisiana is home of the Louisiana Hayride, KWKH, and, you know, Elvis and Stevie Ray Vaughan have played there. Well, I don't know nothing about no rock and roll. I'm country. Next. But I love radio. I love radio. The Rush song "Spirit of Radio" speaks to me. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do like a radio show. And I'm like, what will I call it? I'm like, you know, I'm gonna go Oscar Mike because it means the on move.
Move.
We're taking action. We're taking action to, you know, eliminate, you know.
Oh, that's where the Saints emblem comes from. I'm putting it all together.
The Saints emblem. Well, this is the newer logo, but the fleur-de-lis is what it is.
It's Louisiana.
It is a nod to Louisiana, where I joined the Marine Corps out of. The OM is the Oscar Mike. The Maltese cross, Andrew, you'll get this one, are the 8 points of the values you should have as, you know, a man and warrior.
That's awesome, man. I love the Maltese cross, man. That's
each
great.
point of the Maltese cross, you know, is like honor, duty, charity. I mean, I forget them all, but at the time it made sense. So, you know, and Oscar Mike is on the move. And then this is the new logo, and the missile is my Hawk missile. I had the Hawk missile. I took a picture of it and had them draw the missile on there. Mission and flight. So when we would fire the Hawk missile, you go lock through launch because the missile leaves the launcher at like Mach 1. The boom you hear is not the explosion, it's the missile breaking the sound barrier. And for a minute, because of the way the radars work, you lose track for like a split second, and then it reacquires the missile to guide it with the high power radar. You go lock through launch. So we've gotten locked through the launch. We've acquired the missile again. We're ready to guide it to its target. And then the last thing we say is missile in flight. So the missile's in flight. It's not going to self-destruct. We don't have to destroy it. It's on its way to the target. And I just took that and said mission in flight. So that's where the mission in flight comes from.
Hey, you're making us look bad. Now I gotta work on our logo.
Well, this took 6 years, sir. This did not happen.
Yeah, we're just babies compared to you. All right, we gotta crawl before we walk.
I did a lot of crawling. So I in July of 2016, I met a guy by the name of Keith Hayes, and I went to the Dale Dorman Media Day because I found out to do a radio show on an AM band in my area was a minimum of $2,000 a month. What? They wanted $500 an hour for airtime. Once you paid the $2,000, you had the 4 hours a month. You could do whatever you want. So if your show had like $12,000 sponsorships a month and you just paid the radio station, you were fine. Well, I'm like $500 an hour. I can't afford that. I'm paying child support and, holy moly. So I heard about podcasting and I'm like, I could probably make podcasting work, So I met Keith Hayes at the Dale Dorman Media Day at Massasoit Community College, and Oscar Mike Radio got started in July of 2016. And to be candid and concise, the first 30 to 40 shows sucked. I was just, trying to figure out how to make all this stuff work. The shows sounded really regimented, you must, and it took me a while to kind of get loosened up behind the mic and find my flow and, understand what's going on here. And, I did it for a while, and it was show, I think, number 102, where I talked to this Army guy, a National Guard veteran who has his own contracting business. And we met at Dunkin' Donuts to record. And I asked him after the show came out, I said, hey, man, what'd you think? Because I'm trying to improve, right? He's like, it was kind of weird meeting at a Dunkin' Donuts, I'm going to be honest with you. But he's like, I get it. And you know what? It wasn't bad. And so you're like, what? I thought it was pretty cool and you did a good job. Thank you. I said, well, I'm just trying to figure out how to improve. You're a small business owner. You've done this, you've reinvented your life. What do you, any advice? He's like, I don't know anything about podcasting or radio. It's not my bag. I don't know anything about it. Don't really care either.
Well, thanks for your help, buddy.
No, but what he said next changed everything. He's like, I think you're getting the flow at this. He's like, I like being on with you. He's like, if you can find a way to take this podcast, whatever you're doing, and add value to what you're talking about or your guests' is life or what they're doing, he's like, I think you'll go far.
That's good advice.
And it was like, whoa, because I was one of those trying to chase likes and follows and numbers, and if, oh my God, my show got 25 listens on SoundCloud this week, I'm crushing it, and then the next week I'd get like 2. I'm like, oh, what am I doing this for? When I took a couple of shows and really thought about, what the focus of this is, I reforged myself into saying, no matter what happens, maybe I'll get as big as Jocko and Joe Rogan. Maybe I never will, regardless of who I'm talking to or what I'm talking about. It all boils down to the number one. Like we are right now. I mean, even though I'm the guest on your show, I want to know that this time that I have with you all, and I'm thankful to be here. I'm humbled and honored. If one person listening to this show right now and what you all are doing and what is happening here can change one part of their life, then it was all worth it.
Right.
You've done your job. We've done our job. If one person and their life can change.
The last time I click upload, you know what that's like, gentlemen. You clicked upload and hit submit. I just want to know that. And that started changing everything. So it started being a conversation about, well, hey, how can Oscar Mike Radio add value to what you're doing? The conversation changes completely. changes completely. And you know, I just want, I know I'm in a good groove right now, so I hope we can keep talking for a couple more minutes, because there's a couple of things that came out of this. Is
Yeah,
first,
yeah, dude, it's your show. Keep
Yeah,
on
this is your
going, dude.
show,
You're
man.
doing great, dude. I mean, I don't have to tell you that, Travis. Okay, you know
well,
you're great.
well, no, I'm just trying to get it done, man. Just trying to figure it out. First guy was Richard Fitz Jr. And I hope we'll get him on your show.
Oh, wait a minute. I remember.
You do.
Yeah. I remember that one. Oh my God, that was a good show.
So Richard Fitz Jr. was one of those guests who, you know, I met like 4.5 years ago, and his father, Richard Fitz Sr., was part of a Green Beret unit called MACVSOG. And I can't remember the actual acronym right now, but it was a very top level, top secret Green Beret unit. And his father was operating in Laos in Vietnam in the late 60s and got killed. And the Fitz family knew that he was killed, right? But they never got his body. The government would not tell them what happened to him. It took 21 years for the family to get closure on what happened and his body to return home. And Richard did a documentary about this called 21 Years of Folded Flag. And one of the best things, one of the coolest things about this, and one of the things I see you all doing is, you know, you don't have to be the story, but you can sit there and help tell the story. And so being able to see the film progress, being able to see the story have impact. Richard was at the Fall River City Hall, the Fall River Veterans Council, and a couple other organizations had him come down and tell his story before people. To see the impact of that story so many years after this happened is amazing. To be able to watch and develop that friendship with Richard and his family is amazing. And I don't know about you all, but when you get a guest like that who trusts you with their story and their life, it really makes all the work worth it. And the really messed up thing about this is that's all true. It really did happen. It would never happen now, right? I mean, unless you're truly like, you know, black ops, you're not going to sit there and not have your family's remains. They don't do that anymore. They don't do a lot of what Richard's father did back in Vietnam. They just don't. And it was stories like that I started embracing this concept of one. And so what happens is I'm not Joe Rogan. Would I like to have Joe Rogan numbers or Jocko's numbers and have a whole like echelon front thing built out like Jocko does? Sure, absolutely. Maybe that will happen one day. I don't know. But where I get the most satisfaction is, I'm going to go back a little bit, Andrew, is it's 2019. And this is right before I started using video. I get told to talk to this dude named Andrew Richard Farr about this thing. I'm going to tell the story. So I don't want to.
All right.
I'm going to tell the story.
You tell it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the guest should never dictate how the interview's supposed to go. But I'm breaking the rules because they told me I could. It's 2019, and I get to talk to this dude named Andrew Farr. And I understand that Andrew has recovered from, you know, alcoholism and, you know, thoughts of suicide and selflessness and self-worth, the whole 9 yards, man. I mean, and this thing called Irreverent Warriors was helping him redo this. So I have Andrew on Oscar Mike Radio. And I talked to a guy who was not comfortable behind the microphone, very unsure how this was going to happen, not sure how I was going to treat him. And I'm like, okay, man, hey, I've got you. We're just going to talk like two Marines. I tell you what, I'm driving my 5-ton with a load of missiles out to the pause, and we're going to stop and, you know, fuck with the guards a little bit, and then we're going to, you know, go out there. You're my A driver. And we talked for like an hour. And then, you know, after that, you know, Andrew calls me up. We start talking more and more. And I'm like, you know, and through the conversation, I'm like, wow, Here's a guy who's had all these things that have happened to him and things that happened because of decisions he's made. But instead of hiding, instead of blaming other people, instead of, deflecting, Andrew's owned it. Andrew's owned it. He's paying the price for it.
I have.
And he came through it. And we talked about his speech he was going to give at this IW hike in Nashville.
Oh God, yeah,
Remember
yes,
that?
I do remember. Yes, I do. Oh my Lord.
Well, I mean, this is why you have me on, Andrew.
Wow.
And Andrew was apprehensive about this, and justifiably so.
Oh my God, I was so scared. I didn't want to do it.
He'd never done it before, and is my message going to get through? And people going to resonate? I'm like, dude, all you have to do is approach the crowd and block them out, and just tell them from your heart what's going on. You're not presenting to some college class. You're not telling the lieutenant or captain what they want to hear. This is Andrew's story authentically. And I got to tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on pins and needles. I know the hike's going on. He's trying to make a really hard, good first impression, because the thing was, for Andrew to even be involved with IW, he had to be clean. He had to go through all these steps to do this.
I had to be 6 months sober to get that.
Right.
That hike.
That Monday he calls me up and he's like, "Man, it was awesome. I did it." and Andrew couldn't see the look on my face, but I'm like, yes, because so many people, veterans included, for some reason don't believe in themselves to even attempt to fail. Andrew put fear and doubt out of his mind. It's like, I might fail and do this. I'm going to do it. And he did it, and people connected with him. And so, one of the best things was, in 2020 early, was it 2020? Or was it 2019? No, I met you in 2018, 2019, excuse me.
Yeah.
I got this right. 2019, I got to go to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's a cold February morning. And I got to watch Andrew graduate from Veterans Court. And
yeah, that's right. You were there.
We were there. We all sang the Marine Corps hymn.
Yeah, and dude, it's still in the DNJ, the Daily News Journal. They're like, from the halls of Montezuma is like the start of the whole thing. It was cool.
But the best part was, man, I got to watch all that, and people come around you and put their arms around you and do this. I think the best part was we're driving to Semper Sliders, post celebration. And Commander, he's telling me about this weight that's gone. And he's apprehensive, right? Because, oh my God, this is all like gone. But also, I got to hear this current of excitement and enthusiasm and vitality in his voice, because he's like, hey, you know what? I just went through next to Marine Corps boot camp and marriage. One of the hardest things in my life. And I did it. And I'm like, Andrew, the possibilities are endless now. There's nothing you can't do. And to come down to the hike in Nashville later that year and see what you were involved with, to understand some of the other things that you're involved with, and then to, get the spiritual advice I've gotten from you during times in my life where I'm like, you know what? I mean, forget people. People suck. I'm done. And Andrew brings that stoicism into it. Commander, that's one of the things about the podcast, where it's, yes, this is a podcast, this is a show, but this is because, I try to get value to one person. I gave that value, and I've gotten so much more in return. And this is why I want to tell people who, are thinking about doing podcasting, or veteran podcasters, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. Your podcast might be about, military machine guns. Your podcast might be about, naval ships. Your podcast might be about, operating at division level. It doesn't matter. There's value in your story, whatever. And the coolest thing about this is, we're almost 4 years later since I met Andrew, and the story's being still written. Like, we're talking right now, and we're getting a chance to, celebrate each other's victories, and we understand each other's challenges in a way that, very few people do. I can't put a price tag on this.
Dude, you've been a great friend, and I'm really thankful that you popped my podcaster cherry. I've said that many, many
I
times,
know.
Travis. And dude, when I went on, I was
How does Travis
nervous
cringe when you say that?
because I say it all the time.
All
Dylan.
the time.
And I didn't like it. And now I can go on to like Sunday nights. Now I can just be like, I don't even know who the guest is, and I'll just me and Fleek will just go into this repertoire, and I didn't like that at all. I got a C+ in college for interpersonal communication. I was terrible at public speaking. I was terrible. I was drunk actually for 5 years in college. I didn't even care about school. All I cared about was drinking back then, and then the Marine Corps, and was drunk for I got NJP'd in 05 for drinking in Iraq, and I got my second DUI, and I don't know. I met this guy, Travis, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's got it together. And you did, hey, you did. And then we met Danielle, and we met. You got Mistress Carrie on your show all the time. The equine therapy, what's it called again?
Wild Hearts.
Wild Hearts Therapy, the equine therapy in Massachusetts. And we go back and forth, and Travis even he went and he rode for the first time. I was like, dude, I was so excited when you sent me that picture of you in the tank. I was like, holy shit, he did it. He did it.
Try to know.
And that's rowing was a big part of my life. And I even asked Travis, to row across the Pacific Ocean with me. And yeah, I know. Grant, where are you, buddy?
Well, it's just one of those things, about this. And I think, one of the cool things is we as veterans get a chance to tell our story in a real authentic way. If you want to have a bunch of F-bombs in your show, you can. If you want to balance that, you can do whatever you want. What's going on now is, I'm just, for clarity's sake, I'm not involved with Wild Hearts anymore. I got an opportunity.
You're not?
I got an opportunity to lead an organization founded by Amber Smith. I want to have her on your show, by the way. Amber comes from a military family. Her grandfather, father, and brother all served. Her grandfather served in World War II. Father served in Vietnam. He died at Agent Orange. And she's been, seen PTSD's final battle come to a close for a couple of her family members. And she started this thing called, I Got Your 6-2 Lives at Once.
Yeah, you just posted about that. Because
Well,
you guys, you just went to
we did a softball fundraiser yesterday.
That's right, the softball. Yeah, I saw that today.
The cool thing about this one is there's a lot of canine therapy places, but what we're doing is, because I'm involved, I'm going to be the board president for this organization. Is she's got a partnership with a place in Texas. They take canines out of the shelter or pound that would be destroyed, and she trains them to be service dogs. And the service dogs are then matched with a veteran. So what we do is we raise money for the transport and onboarding to the veteran of that animal. So we call it 2 lives at once, because instead of that dog getting destroyed and the veteran losing their life, both lives are saved. And it's just, we as podcasters have a real way we can help people like this who are trying to make change in their area to advocate for us. And there's a lot of benefit to having, non-veterans or civilians advocate with us. There's a lot of advantages to working with women about, what they do and the benefits they bring to an organization to help us organize and execute certain things. And it's a big, huge sandbox. So, for me, because I know we've got like a couple more minutes left. I don't want to hold you guys up, but
I got 5 miles to walk tomorrow, man. I got all I got to do is go to bed. So I mean, you're on a roll tonight. I mean, Fleek, are you okay with this?
I'm good, man.
All right,
dude. Fleek is riveted. Look at him. He is like on his chair. Like, man, you're telling a good story, Travis.
Well, it's just, I get an opportunity to share with you all, and you guys are working hard on your craft, and I really respect it and appreciate it. Um, so there's two other things I want to talk about if I could. The first is through the show, I got connected with some uh, an Air Force and Navy veterans who were both retired. So one of them retired from the Air Force, one retired from the Navy, and they do these writing projects, and I'm involved with a couple of them. And it's really kind of like opened up a whole new, different side of me, and what I'm able to express in writing versus my voice, and be able to use these stories as a way to understand the veteran experience. It's been really cool, and that would have never happened if I hadn't been doing the show. It would never happen if I hadn't, like, hey, I'm an author, I'm a Navy, here's a 07 in the Navy asking if she can come on my show and talk about, and I'm like, yes, ma'am. Oh, don't call me ma'am. I'm like, no, I'm calling you ma'am. Right? I mean, Commander, you call that person ma'am and sir, right?
Yeah,
It's just
definitely.
what you do. Just,
definitely.
Yeah.
but
07. What's that? What's an 07, Flake?
It's a captain.
she's
Okay.
captain. Yeah, she did medical, like medical administration for the Navy, and then was attached to a Marine unit for a couple of years, and she knows all about us Marines on shot day and stuff like that. She's
And
very.
the boar punching? Does she know about the boar punching?
I didn't ask her about that. I'll have
Okay,
to.
all right.
I'll have to have her.
You'll have to ask her about the boar punching.
Well, I'll have to have her on your show.
It's pretty rampant when it comes to the grunts because we get our boars punched all the time.
Oh, yes. I'm sure hello.
Hello.
So that's been a really cool thing. I Got Your Six has been a really cool thing. And these kinds of things happen, and it's just, I think where I'm trying to grow next is I'm trying to, embrace these opportunities, but also I'm trying to go back to the drawing board and see, how can I improve my craft? Can I ask questions better? Can I, I got to tell you, Commander, officers can be hard to talk to. You all have been trained so well to state.
I'm not an officer. I'm only an officer in the VFW. I'm not an officer.
Yeah, he's enlisted. I'm enlisted.
Yeah.
You're enlisted. We're a bunch of enlisted guys, man.
What? I thought he was an officer.
No, Fleek's just he's a yeoman, man. He's a yeoman, what, second class, right, Fleek?
Oh,
not even that high.
I got all that wrong. Anyway.
Hey, and yeah, you kept on calling him. Well, we're both commanders.
Say Commander Fleek all the time.
It's his fault because he always calls me
it's
commander.
mine. He's the past commander, but I always call him. Last year, that's all I did was call him Commander Fleek. Now I'm the commander, but I still call him commander because he taught me everything that I'm doing today with the VFW. Like he's the reason. He's the one that vouched for me, and then, man, being commander of a VFW is extremely, extremely difficult.
I don't know how you all do it, to tell you the truth.
You've gotta answer a lot of phone calls.
I don't know how you do it. I find officers can be challenging to talk to.
They put their I've been told by every officer, hey, we put our pants on the swimming line. I'm like, you know what? Marine Corps officers, no, not so much. No.
Officers, especially when they get to 03 and above, are very good at deflecting, giving non-answer answers, and I'm like, sir, that is absolute. Who do you think you're bullshitting here, sir?
We have a very famous Marine officer slated to come on next month, Lieutenant Colonel Schiller.
Nice.
Yeah, he agreed to come on our show, but he said he's doing book signings right now, so he's trying to get past that. But so I'm pretty sure he's not just blowing me off because he gave me his cell phone number. I have a cell phone number.
Well, I did reach out to him when the book came out, right? And so.
Oh God, yes, awesome.
So he gave me his PR person's phone number. We've talked, but she was very clear, and there's nothing until the book signs are over with.
Dude, fine. I'm not allowed to ask him like, hey, do you know this guy and this guy and this guy? I am not allowed to ask him any of those questions. Because he probably knows like all my grunts, all of them. He probably knows all my grunt officers, but I'm not allowed to ask him any of those questions.
So,
we're probably keep it to the book.
And so let's look. Yeah, let's talk about the book. I'm reading the book. I'm almost done with it. I want to read it again with my notebook. And there's something that's bothering me, not so much about the book, but about our Marine Corps in general, where he keeps saying that fellow officers says, you know what, I agree with what you're doing. So what he's saying, if he knows the enlisted are understanding where he's coming from, because he comes out and says it, that, you know what, our NCOs and staff NCOs are not the problem. They are doing a whole lot with a whole lot less.
Yeah, I believe
It is a senior leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at that we don't have the officers willing to be leaders?
Yeah, I have no idea. When did that change?
In the book he says Vietnam, and it makes sense, but I'm like, well, I don't know. Tommy Franks and Norman Schwarzkopf, both generals, were not what the Army has today. And then I guess my question to you all, I remember the Fort Hood shooting.
Yeah.
Which is what I want. I want to, if you can ask him this if you want to, I want to ask him if I get a chance to talk to him. Like, I know he's not like just postulating here, because in the Fort Hood shooting, you can't find any of the investigation records, by the way, because I've looked. But during the investigation, classmates of that major who shot up people at that base knew that he was making anti-American statements in class, and they did not want to call him on it because he was a Muslim, and they were afraid in Obama's military that they would lose their career.
Yeah.
And I do want to ask him about that. I'm like, what is it with the same group of people who will absolutely bust your balls if you lose a magazine on an M16, or your 5-ton hits a flagpole because the brakes failed? That's your fault too. Those people will absolutely freaking bury you.
Yep.
But the people demanding that level of transparency, respect, and ownership don't have it. There's a wider problem here, I think. I mean, do you all agree? What do you think about that?
Fleek.
So I'd have to
That's
disagree that the Vietnam, because I was in the Navy in the mid '80s, and my upper brass, man, I think I don't think they would act like that. Be honest with you, I was a yeoman. So in my office, I had a captain, a Navy captain. I had commanders, 2 commanders, a lieutenant commander, a lieutenant, and a master chief. So I sat in a room with some high brass, and I think those guys had our back. Trust me, if you did something wrong, they'll freaking skin you. But they had our backs, man. Like today, I don't think they have our backs, or the guys serving backs today.
When I was from 04 to 08, my grunt officers, they always had our backs. Our battalion commander, not so much, but I messed up, and he had to NJP me.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a bad guy. He really wasn't. He was kind of a knucklehead, but my junior officers were, I was older than all of them because I was 26 or 27 years old. I was Archibald Henderson, and that was my name that stuck since boot camp. All right.
Archibald.
They called me the grand old man because I was 26 years old when I went to boot camp.
That was ancient, man.
I know. I was doing the best I could with 18, 19-year-olds, 23-minute 3-mile run. And these young cats were running like 17, 18-minute 3 miles. And I'm like, I can't, dude, I'm not a runner. I'm sorry. I'm not a runner. But like our officers, they had our back. Like if we fucked up, they helped us out.
Maybe that's interesting, because if you read the book, his main beef is at the battalion level and above, and maybe that's what he's talking about then. And that's why I need to go back and read the book again. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see.
Yeah, I gotta get the book and read it before we have
I do too. I can't.
wanted to wait till I met him so he could autograph it, but I guess I'll just buy it.
Hey, Fleek, are you okay, man? Is your back okay, dude? You keep on doing that.
So yeah, like I said, I've had COVID for the last 4 days, and all I do is sleep. And my back is all jacked up because all I've been doing is I've been horizontal for the last 4 days.
Is it? Yeah, I know. My lower back, because I think I had it for like 6 hours, and my lower back was killing me.
Man.
Well,
Do you do you have your COVID shots, Travis Partington?
I didn't want to get I have the J&J. I'm not boosted. I hate shots. A mother figure of mine, browbeat me for 9 months to get it. And I hate shots. Like, you've got to really get me in a good mood to go in there and get blood taken and stuff like that. I think it's barbaric,
Barbaric.
Speaking of shots, because I know Fleek and you, I mean, you went in what year?
5.
95? So did they line you up and
Yes.
shoot?
Yeah.
Okay, so Fleek went
Yeah.
through that. You went through that. I didn't have that. I didn't have that.
You don't have the air
experience.
guns?
I didn't
Did they
have
have
air
air-
guns.
Did they
What?
have air guns for you, Travis?
Yes. And
Yeah.
your arms hurt for days after.
mean, I remember the peanut butter shot, and I remember
had the peanut butter shot.
I got a shot. I got 6 shots in this arm, but they weren't on either side, and there was no gun.
Every 3 months in Yuma. I mean, you couldn't escape either. You couldn't be like, oh, sir, I'm out on the gear. We're having a hydraulic problem with the launcher, can't make it. It's pretty bad when the first sergeant and the lieutenant are going through, march everybody down there, and there's 6 Navy guys, and they just run you through
The gauntlet.
the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Sucked. Oh, it's just a pinprick. Don't worry about it. No
Yeah,
freaking
sure.
way, man.
And another question. I'm sorry, because I'm just a boot to both you guys. Travis, did you play this game?
Oh
in
yeah,
the
I
Marine
was
Corps in '95.
Yes.
You did play that. Okay, so that
When you
wasn't
got
around in
pinned-
'95.
when you got pinned and
Whack!
yes.
Okay, good to go.
That was not. They did away
I
with
hate that game.
No, it sucked.
I hate. No, seriously. I remember we were outside the COC waiting for a piss test, and this guy, he does that, below the belt, and then I look at it, and he's like, oh crap, and then he winds up, and he strikes me so hard in my groin, I'm down on my knees in like 2 seconds, and I'm like writhing in pain, and the entire company is laughing. They're like, oh, look at Farr. He got nut tapped. Look at that. That was that's what I miss that shit, man. I do. I miss it.
I thought you just said you hated it.
Yeah, but you know what? You hate it and you love it. It's the Marine Corps. And Travis, you can back me up on this. You love it and you hate it. There are bad parts. There are good parts. And
It really does a number on us because yes, there's sometimes I'm like, I'm not. I signed up for this shit. I can't wait to get out of it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow, I get excited over an Excel spreadsheet. I get excited over a PowerPoint. And remember that, what, we go to work and we put, $2 million worth of ordnance on a freaking, machine and drive it 40 miles and go shoot it. It doesn't compare.
How much does that ordnance cost, if you don't mind? Do you know?
The missiles were like 180,000 a piece.
Jeez. Now, did the JDAM I only knew them as the JDAM and the Glimmer. Did they replace those missiles?
No. Those missiles were meant strictly for that weapon system.
Okay.
And again, it's still used in a lot of parts of the world because it's reliable. It's pretty. All the bugs are worked out of it now, and it does what it's supposed to do. I mean, it was a big, huge help in Ukraine. But most of those air-to-air, ground-to-air missiles are solid fuel, radar guided.
And those are, you drive them up and then you tilt them and then you fire, right?
No. So we have the launcher and then we have the radar. So I'll give you So in a Hawk battery, you have the control band called the BCP, Battle Command Post. You have the continuous wave acquisition radar, which is the radar that's spinning around. It's looking for targets. We can get feeds from other radars. The Marine Corps had the MAX 1 and 7 squadrons, so they had the big, huge TPS-59 system. And from Yuma, that thing could see LA traffic. So what we could do is, hide out sort of and get target information from the 59 and wait for, aircraft to come in RAO and we engage them. So we have the tracking radar, and then we have the acquisition radar, and then the high power, and it's a radar that shoots a beam. And what that thing is doing is it's the radar that locks on to the target, and that's telling the missile where to go. So the missiles are launched from launchers, and all this equipment is towed wherever we take it. So it's highly maneuverable, highly, customized where you can place it. And we're all powered up by, truck-loaded generators. So you'd roll up to your, site. We've already scouted the site. We know we're going to go, run the cables to the generator trucks, power on everything, get everything signed in, and get ready to engage targets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The MM-23 Hawk, right?
Yes, MIM.
Sorry, I'm looking. The MIM. Sorry, I'm
MIM,
looking
yep.
at it right now.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good to go. Okay.
Yep. That's what, and I think that's in Kuwait actually, but and an interesting little factoid about the Kuwaiti Hawk system. When Saddam Hussein went to attack Kuwait the first time, the Hawk battalion, the Kuwaiti equivalent, held off a lot of Saddam's Air Force. The Air Force only got through when the Kuwaitis ran out of missiles.
Holy crap.
And Saddam Hussein sent ground troops, the Republican Guard, to go to the ground forces to take over the Hawk battalion. And what he did is he cut off their heads. And we know this because the Kuwaitis that were serving at Fort Bliss came and talked to us about what it was like, firing on actual aircraft during that war, and what it meant to see their buddies' heads all chopped off by Saddam, because they were so good. I mean, they had almost like 100% hit rate with that system.
Dude,
So,
I'm looking at this. Do you remember Iron Man, the second one?
Iron Eagle?
No, Iron Man, like
Yeah.
Jr.
Yes.
It was either when he gets trapped in a cave,
Yep.
and he's bringing. I mean, it looks like the same. I mean, it looks like Marvel took the Hawk missile system.
They did,
and it looked exactly like it.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Okay.
They mocked up a little bit, but yeah, it's based off that. Yep.
Dude, that is a badass weapon right there, man.
Yeah, and so you get in the control band. We have tracking radar and cameras that can see out 40 miles. And
the MIM.
Is that thing is it a surface to air, surface to surface?
Surface to air.
Surface to air.
Now you could fire it at a surface target if you can acquire it through the camera. You absolutely can. Are you supposed to? Well,
no, probably not.
But I'm telling you, if there were some Russian tanks coming at us and that's all we had to defend ourselves with, that would make their day interesting.
Dude, this thing can go to 65,000 feet.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yep.
I don't know. That's cool, man. You had a cool job, Travis.
It was cool. It was badass. I loved it. I absolutely did not mind going to work and doing it. I did not mind working the gear, getting behind the scope. And I tell you what, one time we were taking on F-18s from Miramar, and we got a simulated kill. The lieutenant was so happy that he brought pizza in for us that night. So I mean, he was just, I mean, you would have thought he had a baby or something. First sergeant wasn't that impressed, but the lieutenant was. So what are you going to do? But no, it's all part of this now. And I think the best thing about this is, start Oscar Mike Rita, got to know Andrew, and then I've gotten to know you all and seen your show grow, and how you're trying to use the TSP, the scuttlebutt, to, make change in your area. And, I'm 1,000 miles away from you all, but we're right here together. And I think that's the best part about this whole thing. It's just really great.
Oh, man.
So we'll shut it down. I know it's getting late.
Well, hey, look, dude, our guest is telling us to stop. I mean, that's like the first time in the TSP history.
Well, I just, mindful of time and everything,
Hey, you are always, dude, seriously, that is one thing about you. You are very mindful and empathetic to other people and their time and their actions. And I really applaud you for that. I think you're a great guy. I love you to death. And
it's been a pleasure.
I'm really happy that we're fucking friends, and we will remain friends.
Man, it's really been great, meeting you, Richard, and then Fleek, and then
the other Richard, and then me too. Yeah, no, okay. I
Richard,
come second.
Richard and Andrew. Love your wife, Andrew. Katrina's, good stuff.
Yeah, she is. She's watching Bones right now, and I got to go join her because I want to have at least one episode before I go to bed.
All right. Well, I'll get in touch with you guys about a couple of guests maybe that you guys could have on, and I'm
No,
looking forward to
that'd be
talking
awesome.
to you soon.
Yeah,
And,
I need some input on some swag too.
Yeah.
Try to build some swag for our show.
no problem. No problem. We can help that out.
Heck yeah, appreciate it.
Always, guys. Always.
Yeah, well, thanks for hopping on with us. And
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Before we let you go, how do people listen to your show? When is your show on? Is it a live show? Give us a 3-second skinny on your show.
Hey, you gotta give us some details, man.
Easiest place is go to my website, OscarMikeRadio.com. You can get all the info there. I'm on YouTube and all the other stuff. You can catch me there on Facebook too. My show is sometimes live, but 99% of the time it's pre-recorded, but it drops every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are Mission in Flight.
Dude, awesome. That was amazing.
He had his DJ voice on.
He's got to do it. Hey, dude, he's going to be as famous as James Earl Jones with the voiceovers. I swear to God.
Yeah. Trying to. We'll see. That'd be really cool.
Well, love you, man. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes. Take care.
I salute you guys. You take care, and thanks again.
And
stay
remember,
warm. Winter's coming.
Thank you, Proven Valor Professionals. I gotta put that out there. But Jeffrey Sabins, thank you very much for your support of the show.
Yes. Thank you, Proven Valor. Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Take care.
Bye.